Now, though, since the Patriots have their staff intact, it's time to start looking towards player personnel, which needs a whole lot of help. And before you pick at number 4 in the draft or wherever in the first round of the draft, free agency is going to come first. And with that, trades will start coming as well. The player movement is going to happen long before you make that pick at number 4 in the 2025 NFL draft. And the hot names that are on the market now are at receiver. Now, the Patriots do need some receiver help. They probably need left tackle help before. In fact, I would say they need left tackle and right tackle help before they go to wide receiver. But it is still an important position for the Patriots. It's one that, you have the young quarterback on the rookie contract. You've got the new offensive coordinator in here. The dude needs some weapons. A weapon like Tyreek Hill, apparently. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN wrote that Tyreek Hill, obviously not happy in Miami. He had some of those weird Week 18 comments basically saying he's out. He loved playing here, but he's out. Clearly trying to get out of Miami. And now he's insinuating that could be a trade option for the Patriots. Here's what he said through a source from personnel for an NFC team. The Patriots are desperate. They need a guy, that alpha, that could be friendly for Drake May. And there's a higher chance of the draft picks Miami would receive in a trade being higher with the Patriots than they would be with a contender. Now, that makes a lot of sense, right? Their draft picks will be better. They are desperate. But, man, when it comes to Tyreek Hill and the Patriots, I'm thinking, God, I hope not. And God, I hope so. Because on the field, he gives you exactly what you need, right? Not just that alpha receiver, that big-time playmaker, but a guy who gets on the field with a helmet on for the Patriots and changes the way a defense schemes you. Just no matter what you're doing, you have to respect Tyreek Hill. You have to game plan towards Tyreek Hill. It changes everything when it comes to your offense. And not just in the pass game, but in the run game as well. They have not had a guy like that since Gronk, probably. That you go out there and it changes the game plan. And there's not many of those growing on trees. Let's just say that. Then again, Tyreek Hill is a head case, and the problems follow him wherever he goes. Ask one of his pregnant girlfriends in college. The guy is bad news. Like he's not a good guy. And this kind of drama, this kind of crap follows him wherever he goes. Whether it's literally abusing the mother of his child, or it's just saying, I'm out. I'm deciding that I'm out of this team. You never know. He's a ticking time bomb, man. You never know when that's going to pop off. But when he's on the field, he's one of the best damn receivers in the league. And the only reason he didn't get to 1,000 yards again this year is because the Dolphins were basically playing without a quarterback for 5 or 6 weeks. He is a game plan kind of guy. A guy that you make your game plan around, a guy that the other team game plans around. But he's an absolute head case, man. And I don't know that the current Patriots can handle someone like that in a constructive way. Because, Mike Vrabel comes in here and he's saying, we need to get rid of the entitlement. Essentially, we're draining the swamp here. We're getting the guys who think they're hot shit out of this locker room. And then you're going to bring in Tyreek Hill and make him the highest paid player on your team? That seems far-fetched, even for how desperate the Patriots are. I just 10 years ago, you could have handled that. Belichick could handle that. Brady could handle that. They did it with Antonio Brown about as long as you could, which was like a month, not even. He's too much of a head case. But that's not as good a locker room guy as I think Vrabel is. I just don't think that's the place you start here. In fact, I've compared Vrabel coming in to the way that Belichick came in terms of you went from the nice guy, the player's guy, to the hard ass that's actually going to crack skulls and win games and get rid of the entitlement. Belichick did that. Vrabel's probably going to do the same thing. and let's see if the wins follow. But when Belichick came in, and 2000, it's 5-11. 2001, he's bringing in his guys. He's bringing in those veterans, the Brian Coxes of the world, and he's trimming the fat. That's why Terry Glenn caught Tom Brady's first touchdown pass in the NFL in September and didn't even make it to October with the team. Because Belichick was like, I'm done with this shit. This is not the kind of guys we want in this locker room. Tyreek Hill fits that same mold. And Mike Vrabel was in that locker room, by the way, with Terry Glenn and Bill Belichick. So Tyreek Hill, as much as we want that on the field stuff and how much the Patriots need that, this time I think the cons outweigh the pros in terms of the off the field stuff, which is not something the Patriots can be too selective about, but that's how bad this guy is off the field. Anyway, I still don't think he should have been thrown on the curb. Let's just say that. The other option you can look at wide receiver is Cooper Kupp. And this might be a much more attractive option in terms of what you would have to give up. Because chances are the Rams are going to cut Cooper Kupp. The Rams are going to cut him. He says he wants to keep playing, but he says, hey, it's out of my control when it comes to the Rams. They would stand to make a ton of money back in cap space if they cut him. They'll save $15 million in cash and $7.5 million against the cap. And Cooper Kupp on this current deal is $5 million guaranteed this next year. Had 2 years left on it, but he's probably going to get cut, which means if you're the Patriots, you can either spend a second-round pick on Tyreek Hill, which is what you spent on Brandon Cooks essentially in 2017, and that was a bargain, but you could get Cooper Kupp for money. All it's going to cost you is money. And I know Kupp isn't quite as explosive as Tyreek Hill, but this guy almost won the MVP as a receiver a couple of years ago. That was not that long ago. Was that 2 years ago, 3 years ago? And the only reason I don't put him in that same category of Tyreek Hill in terms of it's a guy that defenses need to game plan around is because the Patriots just decided to not game plan around him this year, and he killed them in that game. But Cooper Kupp is still a productive wide receiver and is still someone who can bring you some of what Tyreek Hill gives you. Can be that elite slot guy, 7-11, always open, exactly what a young quarterback would need. He still got 70 balls this year, 700 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I think he had 1 or 2 against the Patriots. Like, he's still an effective receiver. He's 31. I think he's going to be 32 by the time you're playing games this year. But he's absolutely still an effective guy for you. Against the Patriots, by the way, 6 catches, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. Including that 69-yard touchdown. I think it was 69. Very nice touchdown. But if you're giving me the options of Tyreek Hill or nobody, I don't mind spending a second-round pick on Tyreek Hill, even with how much you have to rebuild. But if you're giving me the more feasible options of, hey, you can spend some money or spend a draft capital on Tyreek Hill, or you can spend some money on Cooper Kupp with all this cap space, give me Cooper Kupp, man. Give me Cooper Kupp. Now, the problem is not just for Cooper Kupp, but also for Tyreek Hill with the kind of power he wields. Who wants to come here? I've had some problems with Burt Breer lately. But he did make a point on Sports Talk Radio last week of nobody wants to come here. The only time in the history of the Patriots anybody wanted to come here was when Brady was the quarterback and Belichick was the coach. Now you are you're Buffalo without Josh Allen. You're Green Bay without Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love. You're a small town team, right? In terms of where you're living, you're 30 miles from Boston. It's cold. It's not a very fun place to be in the winter. There's not much exciting things happening around Foxborough. And right now, the team fucking sucks. But I do think there should be some interest with Drake May, because that's what all these receivers and pass catchers are talking about, thinking about when they're looking to, go somewhere new. And in the case of Cooper Kupp, keep your career going, right? The Patriots won't be the only team in for Cooper Kupp. Don't get me wrong. But, he'll see this and be like, you know what? I got 3 years left. And they've got the pieces. They've got Drake May, and they've got this cap space, and he's on a rookie deal. Like, we could be competing in a year or two, and I could be a big reason why. And I can help this guy along. I could be his favorite receiver. You've seen what Josh McDaniels can do with quick slot receivers in New England. You know, you saw what happened with Wes Welker when he was the most productive receiver in the league. You saw the clutchness of Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola. Like, these guys thrive here in this offense that Josh McDaniels is going to be running, and they've got a hell of a quarterback to be doing it. So, honestly, you need to go tackles first, and this will kind of determine where you go in the draft. Maybe you don't get a tackle, which would suck, and you go trade back and get a tackle in the draft. I think that would be a mistake, but hey, you can't always attract people to come here. But receiver is something you need to look at through free agency, and there are options out there. And I include Tyreek Hill in that quote-unquote free agency. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter here for some more outrageous Boston sports takes coming to you every weekday at noon Eastern time. And then after that, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Rogue Media Sports.